pleasure to be back here once again with Reverend Floyd Flake and co-pastor Reverend A.M.E. And let's give them a round of applause for their great work. I love coming here because coming here is coming home for me. I am a Queens boy through and through, multi-generation Queens boy. We were just talking to co-pastor Reverend A.M.E. My father, you remember, nothing like me. He's governor of the state, he had big nose, bags under his eyes. You remember him, Andrew Cuomo. He grew up on 150th Street, Jamaica Avenue. His father owned a little grocery store there, and he lived there. And then they did pretty well, and they moved up to Hollis. That was the full trajectory for the Cuomo family. We went from Jamaica Avenue to Hillside Avenue. That was it. That was the whole span of beginning to success. And I grew up in Hollis, and I stayed there in my house until I went to law school. I was a mama's boy, I'll admit it. I was living well, my mother's a beautiful cook, the rent was right, so I stayed home. So coming home, a lot of memories, a lot of friends, a lot of warmth, and that's how I feel being here today. Reverend Flake, let me edit his introduction a little bit. When he said we know each other 20 years, that's because when you get to our age, you don't like to use any number bigger than 20 years. Right? It's like you just stop counting at 20 years. Once you get like 30 years, we've known each other 40 years, then somebody's got to die soon. You know, somebody got one. So we'll just stop at 20, let's call it that. And I've watched the Reverend, I've been a great fan of the Reverend. I've worked with him all along. When he was just starting out, when he was a congressman, we worked together in Washington, D.C. When I was then HUD secretary, and he was doing groundbreaking community development work. Nobody was doing in the nation what Reverend Flake was doing. He was really creating national models. And his expansive view of what community is and community development, putting housing together with the commercial, with the economic development, nobody was doing that. So any way I could help at HUD or on the state, I was there. Also on a personal level, the Reverend was very, very good to me at a very difficult time in my life. Right now things are going well. I'm the governor of the state of New York. It's not a bad job. I have a lot of friends. When you're governor, you have a lot of friends, old friends. I wasn't always the case. I had run for governor. I'd been in the Clinton administration. When I came out of the Clinton administration, I ran for governor. And I lost. And then I went through some personal, very tough times in my personal life. Had a marriage that did not work, and it was a personally very difficult time for me. And there are very few things as useless in life as a failed politician. You run and you lose. It's amazing how many really great friends all of a sudden disappear. And I was at the bottom. I was lower than low. I had professional loss, I had personal problems, but I still loved public service. And a few years later, I wanted to run again because I thought I could help. I thought I could make a difference. And I wanted to run for Attorney General. And I went to people and I said, look, I know I messed up. I know I'm not the favorite in this situation, but I want a second chance. And I need help for that second chance. And I'm asking you to give me a second chance. And I've learned a lot from what I went through, and I think I can come back, and I think I can be Attorney General, and I think I can do good things. And I can count almost on one hand how many people who put their hand out. And Reverend Flake was one of those people who gave me a second chance and stood by me, and I will never forget. I've had 4 years as governor, got elected thanks to your help in part. We've had a great 4 years. We've done a lot of good work. I'm very proud of what we've done over the past 4 years. When we took over 4 years ago, the state government was a joke. Literally, they were making fun of it on late night TV. The state was bankrupt. We had a $10 billion deficit. Unemployment was very high. And we've turned around the ship of state. We went from a $10 billion deficit. We now have a $4 billion surplus. The state was in total gridlock. We couldn't get any law passed. You know what you see in Washington now, where one side fights with the other, the Democrats fight with the Republicans. That was Albany. Albany was even worse. We turned that all around. We acted like professionals. We got 4 budgets passed on time, 4 years. First time in 4 years we did that. We're creating new jobs and we're turning the state around, and we did a lot of good things that I'm proud of. I'm proud of what we did. I'm more excited about what we can do. Because we have the government working well, but now we want to take it to the next level. And government at the next level, it's not just about balancing the books and running the budget. You know, I'm not an accountant. That's not why I'm in government. Government can be a great vehicle to do justice. And not justice in the way we normally think about it, criminal justice. We need to do that. We need to get people who are dangerous off the streets. But in truth, even there we need improvement. This country locks up more people in prison cells than any industrialized nation on the globe. We pay $30,000 a year to keep a person in a prison cell. I'd rather pay $30,000 to send a person to Harvard University. And I'm going to be very proud to be the governor who closes more prisons than any governor in the history of the state of New York. Another type of justice, the justice that Martin Luther King spoke to, John F. Kennedy spoke to, and LBJ spoke to, the social justice and this racial justice, and that's the kind of justice I'm talking about. And there are things that we can do because racism is still alive in our society today, and anyone who denies it denies reality. It's not pleasant to say, but I believe denial is not a life strategy, and the first step towards solving a problem is by admitting the problem. And racism is alive and well. And it may be less brutal than it was in the 60s, but it is still there. I call it discrimination with a smile. It's the landlord who says, "I'm sorry, the apartment's no longer available, you just missed it." But the apartment really is available, just not to you. It's the employer who says you didn't get the raise, you didn't get the promotion, but really it was based on race. It's still there, and we have to fight it, and government is the vehicle to fight it. 3 things I want to focus on and get done in the next term. I want to raise the minimum wage again. Because the minimum wage is just too low. You cannot support a family at these costs. You can't eat and pay your rent at this minimum wage. It's that simple. Second, we have a tremendous problem with youth employment, especially among minority males. It is hard to get a job. It is hard to get training. We started a program in the first 4 years where government subsidized the employment of minority youth in private companies. And the state paid for training. We've done that for 4 years. It's been a tremendous success. I want to now bring that up to scale, where we will pay part of the wages for a company to take a chance on a young minority male, and we will pay for the training to get them ready for that job, because getting them in that job is an investment in the future. And the third thing is the education system, because education is everything. We started, in the first 4 years, universal pre-K, which is going to be great. We're going to have a generation of kids who have more education than any generation before them. Universal pre-K. But the truth is also, the public education system is failing our young people. And if you get failed by that education system, you will never catch up. And the truth is, we have two education systems. And it's not public and it's not private. It's one for the rich and one for the poor. And you go to a public school on the rich side of town, and they will show you on first grade how they're on the internet and they have fancy computers. You go to a school on the poor side of town, they don't even have a basketball net. Forget the internet. The differential between the two is night and day. And it's not just a question of money. We spend more money per student than any state in the nation. Any state in the nation. We have to start to measure the performance of teachers, the performance of schools. We have to get what we're paying for. If a teacher is struggling, fine, we'll get the teacher the help they need. If a school is struggling, fine, we'll get the school the help they need. But we can't let the student lose. And that's what we're doing right now. And that has to change. That's going to be our focus. Because at the end of the day, it gets very simple. You get to be my age, 57 years old now, it starts to get very simple. I was raised Catholic, but the basic rules are all about the same. Show your neighbor compassion, Matthew 25. Love your neighbor, and leave this place a better place than you found it. Pass it on to the next generation better than we found it. I believe my calling is to help make this place a better place in government. I believe I can make a difference. And that's why I want to be your governor, but I need your help to make that happen. And I need your help on election day. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much for coming and spending time. And we are just grateful for all you've done, particularly to Allen Church. And if the people here don't even know how much you have invested in this church, in the homes that we were building and other things, and I want them to understand that this relationship is one that has been a productive one, and so I want you to be the governor.